The next issue that dominates our attention is obviously public safety. As you know, we've made a lot of progress, but we still have much more work to do. So let's bring up an expert, another professional that is making a difference in Stockton each and every day, nonstop working to combat crime and to keep us safe. Please welcome Chief of Police Eric Jones.
It is a privilege to stand before you and address this crowd. Although I stand here, we all stand face to face with significant challenges. But they are challenges that we acknowledge openly, there are hard issues that we bravely discuss, and we are transparent about our issues so we can make progress. We must continue to address our violent crime problem. We must better address blight, quality of life, and all types of crime. We must give better service to our community. We must better connect with the community. We must also retain our experienced staff, and we must recruit the best candidates for our future police officer additions, while also striving for a more diverse workforce. Those are all significant challenges, but the good news is that we have plans for each and every one of those challenges. The key is staying on course for those plans and taking the time to do it right. Although your Stockton Police Department has been around since 1850, its most significant challenges have really been only in just recent history. We've been through a lot, ups and downs, hard times, and challenges, but also opportunities and accomplishments. Here are some of our accomplishments. Last year, shootings were reduced by about 40%, and homicides were reduced by about half. So far this year, homicides are still an issue, but shootings overall are still down 25% over last year, and so is overall crime. We've made strides, but we must look at long-term trend lines with long-term solutions and plans. This requires something more than patience. It requires steadfast dedication. We must continue to focus on violence, while we also rebuild the police department through Measure A funding. The public safety portion of Measure A funds three components from the Marshall Plan. First, rebuilding the police department staff. Secondly, creating a neighborhood blitz team. And third, creating an Office of Violence Prevention. The first component adds 120 police officers to our ranks. That was and is desperately needed. As we know, in the past couple years, we have been one of the most understaffed police departments in the entire nation for a city our size or larger. And that does not even account for crime rate. We also know that the single best deterrent to crime in a given neighborhood is a highly visible police force. So how are we going to use the 120 officers? Well, contained in the police department's 3-year strategic plan, we explain it will be in two ways. First, strategically, on our violence reduction initiative. Secondly, with enough officers on patrol to get back to what's known as core community policing. Although community policing has been defined extensively by criminologists and books have been written about it, it simply comes down to this. It is having enough staff to be responsible for smaller geographic areas where they have enough time to get out of the patrol cars and have positive interactions with the community to get to know people in the neighborhood. Although hiring 120 additional officers is very exciting, it comes with a few caveats. It will take time, at least 3 years. Our goal is to hire enough for a net gain of 40 per year for the next 3 years. But we cannot rush numbers without ensuring that our hiring standards of professionalism remain in place. And we must also recognize the recruitment challenges and that we must be better reflective of the community we serve. We do face an ongoing recruitment and retention problem. We do have to recognize that our police officers are under market rate for compensation in our area, and this is an issue that needs to be addressed over the long term, in my opinion. Although we've hired well over 100 new officers in the last 2 years, We've lost about 100 officers for various reasons for a net gain of 40. As you can see, it will be a challenge, but it's a challenge that your police department is up for. The second Marshall Plan component is the creation of neighborhood blitz teams to complete 90-day blitzes in target neighborhoods to address blight and quality of life. We recognize that these things like abandoned buildings, graffiti, aggressive panhandling, that all neighborhoods have been affected by, can be better addressed. The third Marshall Plan component is the creation of the Office of Violence Prevention, which will expand our gang outreach workers and will better coordinate with schools, other governments, and service providers to work on prevention for those most at risk. It will operate under the Stockton ceasefire philosophy. As you can see, a lot of good things are going on, but let us not neglect giving credit to the community. The community has certainly helped in our fight on crime in a number of ways, and we as a police department are embracing the community's help. Whether that help stems from compassion or frustration, we embrace the help. We found that not only can you reduce crime while strengthening relationships in the community, but we should and must. Whoever owns public space shapes the climate of a neighborhood or an entire community. This is a phrase we sometimes use in law enforcement. It means that if criminals own or operate our public space, such as a park, and whether it is real or perceived, the community is in fear. If it is viewed that the police have taken over or own a space, it can be viewed as a government occupation. But if the community itself owns that public space, you have made it to a sense of a community that cares for itself, and you will then have success. And I think we are helping the community take back some of those public spaces. I think the things that are working with your police department are based on technology, talent, and tenacity. With new technology, we are being strategic, innovative, and data-driven. Here are just a few examples of outstanding crime-fighting technology that we have brought to Stockton through grants or through donations. Predictive analysis by Bear Analytics, which is real-time policing, intelligent-led policing software. A gunshot detection system called ShotSpotter, which the Stockton Police Foundation is working on to fund. And GunOps, with a ballistic examiner with the best technology in the field, and his work for the county-wide firearms reduction consortium that we work on with the San Joaquin County Sheriff's Office. We are policing smarter. We're also using technology to expand our communication efforts, reaching more people, even through social media. In fact, we are ranked as the most liked police Facebook page in the entire country for a police department our size. That's worth applause. Next is talent. Your SPD staff are some of the finest in the nation. They train hard and work hard, and I am proud to lead the fine men and women of the Stockton Police Department. I can design policing plans, but we all know that it is the sweat of the frontline personnel of your police department that make it happen. We as a police department are recognized nationally. Recently, one of our deputy chiefs received the Naval Postgraduate Academy Philip Zimbardo Award for keen insight and analysis. We're also a leading West Coast agency in rolling out cutting-edge police legitimacy and procedural justice training from Chicago. Coupled with ceasefire, it is considered the future of community policing. We have presented to national and international audiences of our recent work here. We have been asked by the U.S. COPS Director, the U.S. Attorney General, on multiple occasions to present our violence reduction efforts to police departments across the nation. We have presented at Stanford University to international audiences and the state capitol on what we're doing here. So what has their attention here? It is our comprehensive plan. It's about the full model of what we're doing for the long term. Strategic enforcement with data and technology, our continued partnerships with other area law enforcement, the ceasefire message, and the philosophy of violence reduction, and police-community partnerships. These are the four legs of the stool when it comes to the police work in Stockton. It requires work to stay on course. And that brings us to the final point, tenacity. Is our work done on violent crime, or is it ready to shift? No. We have so much work to do before that. But our plan is solid. Our plan lays the foundation of best practices and builds upon it for the custom fit that Stockton needs. I often hear and agree that things are starting to turn around. Starting is the key word, and there is so much more work to do. But that's also why this is an exciting time. We know that the police and community must work together now like never before, and that's our goal. Let's stay resilient. Let's do this together. Thank you.
Those were very important issues, but that alone doesn't capture the essence of what Stockton is all about. I've asked my colleagues on the City Council to help me take a broader look at Stockton. So let's hear from our City Council members. Please bring your attention to the screen.